It is Monday, April 10th at 4:45, and I'm calling this Human Resources Committee to order. We have a quorum present in chamber. We'll start with number 1, approval of March 13th, 2023 minutes. They're in your packet. Does anyone have any questions? Okay. Otherwise, I'll take a motion to accept. Motion by Herbst, second by Killian. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes unanimously. Number 2 is the Human Resources Report for March of 2023. It's in your packet. Do you have any questions for the director? No? If not, we'll just put that on file. Item number 3 is discussion of amalgamated transit union grievance per step 3, grievance procedure of the collective bargaining agreement. Where are you at?
Yep,
Okay,
I'm here.
okay, thank you.
Is this on?
Yes.
Okay. Before I get started, there's a couple things I just want to hand out, a small packet we prepared. This covers Mr. Henderson's step 2 denial, a copy of a payroll report I got from Peggy at payroll, and a copy of Appendix A in the contract. Would you like one? Good. Okay. Okay, for those of you who don't know, my name's Troy Hansen. I'm the president of local ATU in town here. To my right is Scott Burton. He is the grievant. Behind me is Adrian Reinhardt Belf. He is our vice president. And Janice Borkhardt is here as well. She's our IVP that's helped me out with the contracts with our local here for probably the past 20 years, way before I was doing it. If you have any questions directed to these people, that'll be fine. Let's start by, I'd like to start by just directing everybody's attention to the highlighted part on step 2 denial from Mr. Henderson that states the MOU signed on June 2nd, 2022 between the city and the union. It was agreed that Mr. Burton shall be placed on the wage classification scale at step B for bus operator 2 and progress through the scale accordingly. Are we on agreement on that, Mr. Henderson? We agree on that? Okay. So from that response on the bottom of that, I think the only thing we're really arguing right now is how the progression scale works. If you look at the second page, this report here was generated from Peggy at payroll, and this is the result of a meeting we had on July 7th of 2022 after we had completed negotiations in June. At this time, Ms. Vanderboom had already moved on, and at that meeting was Ann Keenan, who I do not see here. Who else was there? Ann Keenan, Greg Soybert, who is also retired, and then Janice and I. After we completed negotiations in June, Janice and I and Greg agreed that there were many things that we needed to take care of as far as the administrative end to make sure we didn't have issues like we have going on right now. And the first thing we addressed at that meeting was an error, excuse me, that was made by the city where they were going to have our wage increases 2 weeks earlier than they needed to be. So we conceded to that, so we would be allowed to move forward with this. And what you have here is, in the old contract, your pay rate will be based on your hire date as a full-timer. So what we did is we took everybody's hire date, their actual hire date, not their promotion date, and we slated them in with the new contract on what step they should be at. And if you look at Mr. Marshall right there, at the signing of the contract or the agreement of this contract, he had only 4 years and 5 months when it was implemented, and he was placed at top pay, as you can see on Appendix A in the past, okay? I don't think anybody will disagree when they read that. 4 years, 3 months, and he was at top pay, $26.70. Bus operator 2, step E, 48 months. If you go down to Timothy Bishop, his start date was 8/17 of 2020, and his pay rate as of 8/23/22 would have been 24 months at step D. That's where he was placed. Jacob Heil, if you look down to his, he had about 18 months in at the time of the implementation of the contract. He was at step B. At step C at that time, which would have been 12 months. And you can see that as of today, which gives him just over 2 years and 2 months, he would be at step D, which is the 24-month scale. So what our argument is here is we have an interpretation of the contract by HR that says your step increase from step B to step D, from step B to step C takes 12 months. Our argument and the past practice and this report shows you that the step from step B to step C only takes 6 months. The contract is actually read that your start date is step A, step B is a 6-month increase, step C is at 12 months, not another 12 months, and step D is also at 24 months, not an additional 24 months. Step E is new at this contract, and it was actually proposed by the city to help retain employees to get that extra step, and that was after 4 years of employment. Mr. Henderson's interpretation of this contract, if you read through it and extrapolate it out through the entire thing, would be 7.5 years to get to full pay. Because it's step A to step B is 6 months, and then he's saying in his step 2 denial, it's another 12 months to get to step C, which would get you to 18 months. And then another 24 months, which would be 3.5 years to hit step D, and then another 4 years or 48 months for 7.5 years to step E. That is the only argument we have to make, and I think it sums up our position. If there's questions, we are open to answer anything.
Any questions?
Go ahead. Mr. Killian?
Thank you, Madam Chair. So essentially, it hinges on the different interpretation of the steps and the time between them. Is that correct?
That is correct. I think if you would look back at past practice, this contract hasn't changed in my practically 19 years here. The only change in the contract is the addition of step E.
Okay, great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
If no more questions?
Well, are we going into close?
Yes, that's what I was going to say. If there's no more questions of Mr. Hanson, then we can read the closed session and go into closed.
Well, thank you. So what are you at? You know, we have the letter from Mr. Henderson, I'm sorry. What are you requesting, I guess?
Our request is on, at 12/2 of 2022, we believe his pay should have been increased to step B. Step C, excuse me.
When was what was his first day? Is that here somewhere? What was his first day?
Well, the actual signing date of the MOU was 6/2 of 2022. The dates that Mr. Henderson has here in his step 2 denial, we do not argue with up until the wage rate on 12/25. He's got the wage rate down as 24.03, and at that time, me see if I can find it. I'm getting there. That would have been the increase. 2509 is what we said it should be. And then when he gets to 6/2 of 2023, that step shouldn't be 2509, that should be 2632. And what we're seeking is him to be placed at the appropriate pay scale based on the MOU and this contract, and everything back paid to that day.
And every other employee gets paid like that. So
Right. The problem we have with the interpretation on this contract is it would affect everybody below Scott on the seniority list. And I believe Scott is 5th or 6th on the extra board list. And that would now include a 10-person extra board and 2 part-time employees as well. So this contract affects everybody. We have currently 3 employees that are at top pay. One has only had 5 years of experience, and the other 2 are between 7 and 7.5. So if you decide against this, that would affect those employees as well. You'd have to interpret the contract equally for everyone.
If no further questions, I'll take somebody to read the closed session. Thank you, Michael. Thank you.
Make a motion that we go into closed session pursuant to 19.85 sub 1 sub C, considering employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation data of any public employee over which the governmental body has jurisdiction or exercises responsibility for the purpose of considering ATU Local 1168 union grievance regarding an employee compensation issue.
Thank you. I need a second on that. Second by Herbst, and I'll do a roll call vote. Gisselman?
Yes?
Herbst?
Aye.
Killian?
Aye.
Martins?
Aye.
And I'm aye as well. We will be coming back into open after close. Thank you.